Order this very special edition of a Wednesday plan board meeting, Wednesday, February 25th. Can you please read the roll, please? I'll skip ahead a little bit. My brain is working too fast.
Robert Ackerman.
Here.
Jamie Bell.
Here.
Tina Certain. Robert Murmer.
Here.
Joshua Nay.
Here.
Jason Sanchez.
Here.
Stephanie Sutton.
Here.
All right, you have a quorum.
Fantastic. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as it's been presented tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first unanimous approval of the night. Maybe not the last. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're 2 for 2, guys. That's not bad. If there's any members of the public who would like to speak on just general stuff that's not on the agenda tonight, that's not a specific item on the agenda, you have a few minutes now to come up and speak. Otherwise, I assume you're probably going to want to talk during the item of the agenda that was piquing your interest. So, let's move on to our first bit of old business, the election of a vice chair. So
We got to make a motion.
well, who wants to be vice chair? I mean, it's not me. I can't have both.
I'll nominate myself if that's cool.
Sure. Anybody else in the running? I'll nominate Dr. Murmer. There we go. Yeah.
Second.
Sure.
Nobody else wants it.
Nobody else wants it. All right. All those in favor of Dr. Murmer being our vice chair?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Congratulations, Dr. Murmer.
Thank you. You're already in the spot.
Well, yeah, the left hand of the father right here. So I made that joke once, but it was years ago, so I'm allowed to remake it.
That's okay, Daddy.
Yeah. This is okay. Ms. McMullen, can you read our first item of the agenda, please?
Yes. 2026-139, right-of-way vacation for property east of Southwest 6th Street between Southwest 4th Avenue and Southwest 5th Avenue, LD25-000103, with a presentation by R.A. Rabinovich.
I know, what a jacket. That color's great.
Good afternoon, Chair and Board. My name is Ari Rabinovich. I'm planner with the Department of Sustainable Development. The item before you is LD25-000103, a right-of-way vacation near Southwest 6th Street between Southwest 4th and 5th Avenue. So this is just east of Southwest 6th Street between Southwest 4th and 5th Avenue. It's around, actually, I'm sorry, that address is not correct. Size of the area to be vacated is approximately 0.2 acres. The abutting land uses are office and residential low. Abutting zoning is office residential and residential multifamily 5. So this is a request to vacate the right-of-way east of Southwest 6th Street between Southwest 4th Ave and Southwest 5th Avenue as shown. So some context about this request. This is coming before the board as the result of an unintentional installation of public infrastructure on private property that abuts the 6th Street Rail Trail connector. So you can see in this image here, there's a strip of private land abutting the trail where the Porter's neighborhood signage has been installed, as well as some stormwater infrastructure. So the right-of-way vacation as requested would split the vacated land, which you can see off to the east, between the private property to the east and the private property to the west, both of which are owned by Heritage Investment Group of Gainesville, LLC. And in the future, a portion of that parcel that you see there, owned by the private property owner, will be rededicated as right-of-way, which will consolidate access with the rail trail connector and properly place the public infrastructure in right-of-way. So this is what the right-of-way situation looks like today. And the right-of-way, once vacated, will be split like this, approximately 0.098 acres between the parcels to the east and west. And then the future right-of-way conditions at a later date, once the land swap is commenced, the right-of-way will look like this, with the Porter sign and stormwater infrastructure in the right-of-way that is consolidated and connected to the 6th Street trail. So when we review right-of-way vacation requests, we're required to review against criteria in Land Development Code, Section 30-3.41. So staff have conducted that review and found that the criteria were met, as well as the criteria in policy 10.2.1 of the transportation mobility element of the comp plan. So we found that the criteria here have been met, but so more specifically, whether the public benefits from the use of the right-of-way as part of the city street system, it's not part of a city street system. If the proposal is consistent with the comp plan, we find consistency with future land use element 1.2.1, stating that the city may vacate right-of-way only if it does not prevent reasonable connection for existing or future public transit, pedestrian, or non-motorized vehicle trips. The right-of-way is undeveloped, does not provide any transit access, and the pedestrian access is facilitated by the 6th Street Trail and adjacent sidewalk networks. So this vacation would provide a more consolidated right-of-way with the trail, improving marginally the pedestrian access in the area. Whether the action would deny access to private property, so this would actually eliminate a functionally disconnected private holding and consolidate both the private land and the public land at a future date. Whether there is any effect of the proposed action on public safety, so there's a marginal improvement to public safety once the right-of-way is consolidated by allowing a better implementation and maintenance of that infrastructure on the 6th Street Trail. Other conditions about relocating utilities and the effect of the actions on design and character of the area are addressed in the staff report. And then lastly, we're required to consider if the public way is a right-of-way. If the public right-of-way is a street, there are criteria that we have to consider. However, this right-of-way is not a street, so all of these are not applicable. So with that, staff recommendations for approval of LD 25-000103, and happy to answer any questions about this item.
All right. Looks like you've got at least two.
Oh, and sorry, one other thing, the applicant is here and they do have a presentation.
Members of the board who have a question, do you want to wait till the applicant presents, or do you want to ask now?
That's quick.
Yours quick? All right, Ms. Bell.
Thank you. I'm just curious why we're not doing this simultaneously, the right-of-way vacation and then the future rededication that you're mentioning, where we're eventually going to get some of the right-of-way back. Like, why is there any risk of us like not getting the right-of-way that we are intending to get long-term, or?
I'm not entirely sure how the process of the land swap is going to go in the future and whether that is something that immediately occurs or if there is conversations between the city and the private entity. I'm sure the applicant might have some additional context about that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Sutton, do you want to?
That was my question as well. Just what, legal agreements are in place to ensure that happens. What is the process? I imagine it's just deeding the property back and forth to each other at that point, but I've never seen that happen before exactly like this. So that was my question too, as far as the process. And
yeah, this is what we've got as far as what will happen to the right-of-way immediately following this vacation approval. So the land is set to be split at the moment between the parcel to the west and the parcel to the east. So that enables the land swap to occur further down the line. I'm not sure exactly when that happens, but again, I'm sure the applicant might be able to help us out.
okay, but I think the applicant can answer that a little bit if there's some kind of agreement in place like there would be for another real estate transaction. Okay.
Ms. Bell.
Yeah, you don't have to answer right this second, but maybe once the applicant comes up too, I'm wondering, is there, the stormwater management features, are those part of what's being vacated, or are we maintaining what's in blue?
So this is the current situation. The stormwater infrastructure is on the private land currently.
Okay, so when this vacation occurs, but prior to the land swap, who's in charge of maintaining the stormwater?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I will look forward to hearing more about that. Thank you.
All right, I think
No
if
more
the applicant
questions?
wants to speak, that'd be
Sounds good.
very helpful. Thank you, Rory.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Diedenbach. I'm a professional planner, Executive Vice President of NV5. You all have seen me before, and I did not coordinate wearing a green jacket with Mr. Rubin. So we are here, and some of you were here in 2018. It was around the time of COVID, and there was a application similar to this, but a little bit larger. What we're doing tonight is really fixing a construction error that occurred, and I'm glad that you asked questions of staff, because I think that we can answer those questions in the course of our presentation. So I will get to that, and hopefully we'll have the quickest plan board hearings possible. We started this process in April of last year. We actually started in 2018. Again, though, it was a different project in 2018. And we're glad to be here tonight. To help understand this, I think this oblique aerial helps tell this story a little bit better. And Mr. Chair, Ms. Bell, you can see in this area, these basins here that address the stormwater requirements of South 6th Street, the infrastructure that's here on the sidewalk, as well as the trail, the roundabout and all, have been built on private property. And to help illustrate that a little bit better, when the rail line was abandoned that used to be there, I'm old enough to remember that because I remember that in the 80s, that it was rail here. That went to the Board of Trustees of the Internal Trust. So the state of Florida effectively has that right-of-way. This right-of-way here that you generally understand as 6th Street covers from this point here to here. But in all, effect, really, this is the right-of-way as it exists today, okay? This area here with all this lush landscaping, the stormwater management for the trail and this infrastructure here, as well as the Porter's sign, the fire hydrant, and the irrigation system was built on private property. It was permitted, it was built, the Water Management District permitted the basin. We're here to correct that. Abutting this private property right here is the old paper street. So what will happen here is the signage, the landscaping and irrigation, the stormwater will all become effectively within public right-of-way, because what Mr. Fleming is going to do is he is going to fee simple dedicate that to the city. The city's land rights coordinator, Kara Brecken, as well as the Public Works Department will accept that, and it'll happen relatively simultaneously with the city commission's action to vacate the right-of-way. So traditionally when right-of-ways are vacated that are paper streets, what happens is you have half goes to one side, which is also Mr. Fleming's property. There is a lot here. The other half will go to this piece that the city will get. So effectively, the city's new right-of-way line will come down the edge of the blue, take into this area of the green, and take this half. So all of this area that I previously showed you that has all the lush landscaping, the Porter's sign, the fire hydrant, and of course the irrigation system, that will all become inside public property. Who's maintaining that today? Well, the city is maintaining it. It just doesn't happen to be built on the city's property. So the action that's before you rectifies the construction error by taking and splitting the paper street, putting half of it on the lot to the east, and then half to this piece that the city will get simultaneously through a fee simple deed transfer to the city. So as the process goes, since this is a quasi-judicial item and it has to be consistent with the process, NV5 conducted the neighborhood mailing, we conducted the neighborhood workshop, we signed the property properly, we had 84 notifications sent, 3 notice signs were posted, and we had 4 attendees that actually attended the neighborhood workshop and asked questions about this process. I believe city staff posted the signs out here. very diligently, probably at the end of the business day here. I think someone's car is parked right there, but this is properly notified. The property exists here along the 6th Avenue corridor, and you can see that little wedge right there. So effectively what happens is, this is the portion that I showed you in blue that is owned by the Board of Trustees of the Internal Trust that abuts the existing 6th Street right-of-way. This is the area, that little sliver, that's private property upon which the sign, the fire hydrant, the landscaping, and the irrigation system were all built. That is going to be given to the city of Gainesville, and the orange area there is going to be split with 50% going to the east, adjoining the lot that Mr. Fleming owns here, and then this 50% will go to this area, which the city is going to get in the process. And that solves all the errant construction issues. It is as simple as that. Historically, this area has not had a street in it. There were dirt drives through there. When I moved to town here in the 80s, there was a radiator shop there, and you can see here that they used to park a lot of cars out there as they were working on radiators. I think it was Kane's radiator back in the day, and there's been various different things that have happened along here. But that little property sliver caused a little problem there, especially when the city built on it. So as staff stated during their presentation and is documented in our application, this is consistent with the City of Gainesville's comprehensive plan. It meets goals of the future land use element as well as the transportation mobility element, because it ultimately makes it safer to have all the city's infrastructure in city right-of-way as opposed to private property there. Staff has identified consistency with the comprehensive plan, both in the future land use element as well as the transportation mobility element policies, and staff has identified multiple goals that is part of their application and review. So with that, your staff recommendation and professional staff have all reviewed this, as well as the departments at Gainesville Regional Utilities, the Public Works Department, Environmental Protection, Gainesville Fire Rescue, and they all recommend that you go ahead and recommend that the City Commission approve this right-of-way vacation. So we are respectfully asking that you forward this to the City Commission with your recommendation that the right-of-way be vacated, and we will take it from there with the city's land rights coordinator and effectuate this correction. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. It seems like I've been dealing
There's a
with this
few,
for
yeah.
7 years.
I'll
And
get
hopefully
to-
we have some good pictures that we can add.
The historical
Yeah.
stuff was fantastic. It's always nice to see
My
that.
pleasure.
Ms. Bell.
That was helpful, thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is more for staff, so just to confirm, our action would be to approve the petition, which would then get forwarded to the city commission for final approval?
Yes.
And so would it be at that same commission meeting that the commission could accept the fee simple deeding of this property? Like, I'm just more curious, like, why they're not happening truly simultaneously, and like we're not seeing it at the same time.
Yeah, it might be that they happen simultaneously. The second part of that hasn't been scheduled yet, as far as I know. You wouldn't be seeing it because the planning board won't be involved with that second piece of the land swap. But perhaps Assistant City Attorney Sean McDermott could opine.
And my primary concern is if there's a gap, is there any risk of the city not receiving it? Or if there is an issue with the stormwater management system, could there be tension over who has to fix it during that gap period?
Right, I think I understand your concerns, and I think those are valid concerns. I guess I would just say, you know, maybe the way to think about this vacation that is before you is it could go one of two ways. Like, one is the criteria for a right-of-way vacation that's as laid out in our land development code. You could look at this vacation of this old paper street, you know, that's not being used to my knowledge by the city of Gainesville currently. You could just look at it kind of independently to see whether the vacation of that paper street section, what's being asked to be vacated before you tonight, whether that just alone meets the criteria of the land development code for vacation, right? And if it does, then you would recommend vacation. If it doesn't, you would vote against it. In the alternative, you could also, and this is for the board to decide, but you could view the vacation being requested and say, well, it will only meet the criteria if the land swap you're talking about happens simultaneously with it. If that's the case, if the board decided that the criteria is only met for some reason, if it's done in tandem with the acquisition of the abutting property, then, what often you'll see, and the applicant may be amenable to this, is like, that it's just, the vacation is conditioned on the acquisition of that abutting property, and it just becomes effective simultaneously. So it's just a simple condition, and you see that, fairly routinely in right-of-way vacation ordinances that spell that out. And so it all comes down to the criteria and whether you think that's required in order to meet the criteria for this vacation. So,
Perfect. That's helpful. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Dr. Murmur.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I just got the answer to my question, actually, but if it's okay, Sean, if you could confirm, we can allow, if we believe that a condition for the vacation is the property swap, we can recommend to the city commission that they, in fact, condition the vacation on that swap.
yes, I think so. If that condition is needed to meet the criteria for the vacation, then yes, I think conditions.
And then we would need to note, we would need to note what criteria, what criteria is satisfied by that or wouldn't be satisfied by not doing that.
Correct. Right, that's
Gotcha.
right.
Thank you.
Mr. Ackerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In a less complicated way, it's just a contingent contract. Right?
It's not a contract, but it's a, it's a,
Contingent agreement.
right.
Anyway, that's not
Regulatory
really-
ordinance, an ordinance that's conditioned. The effectiveness of the ordinance is conditioned on a condition subsequent.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, my question is, I was here a long time ago when this same right-of-way was attempted to be vacated, and I was in favor of it then, but the board was not. When you look at that map, you're going to vacate the southern end of it. What's going to happen to the rump end of the northern end of it?
So, Mr. Chair, as Plan Board Member Ackerman states, there's right-of-way here, the Paper Street area here and here. We are not doing anything with that property right there. That still will remain as right-of-way. We have no plans or intentions for that at this time, and it is not a part of this, so we're not touching any of this here. It remains ownership of the city of Gainesville.
Okay, so we're going to vacate a big chunk that makes it useful and leave the rest? Okay, yes.
Someone may come back in the future and want to do something with that, but at this juncture, what we are doing is fixing this construction problem
Right.
here.
I
And we'll-
recall at one time, Mr. Fleming did want to do something. with
Yes,
that.
and back, and I had explained to a couple neighbors that I met this evening that in 2018, prior to and around the COVID time, there was a plan for looking at a building program there and
Right.
all, but that is not why we are here. We are here to do this piece, to fix this problem, and put this issue to bed that's been there since the city built all that stuff on private property. Yeah.
Thank you.
When was this is like a big oops, right? It's like a big mistake.
It is a
essentially.
big oops, yes.
Yeah, when did that happen, do you know? Like, give a sense of
2016, 17, when the downtown connector was built.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't catch it like when the Water Management District reviewed the permit for the
You would
basins and
think
stuff.
they would catch that. That's,
Yeah.
And I know, I
Usually
was
pretty
waiting for
thorough.
Ms. Sutton's eye roll because you just don't see this stuff that often, but it does happen, especially in older platted areas.
Is there any money attached to this deal? Are you getting anything else out of this besides just swapping land, or? That's what, I mean, I figured it seems like this is a cost.
Mr. Fleming has paid us twice now to do this, and he is dedicating the land fee simple as a gift to the city of Gainesville to fix this problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Seems like we didn't want it the first time. We didn't want your gift the first time, which is a funny thing. But.
Are there any other questions?
Seeing none, we'll open it up to the public. If any members of the public would like to speak on this, just come on up to the podium here. Make sure you state your name very clearly, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Christopher Philly. I own a parcel within 400 feet I believe it was a different right-of-way vacation last time, but I'm not sure exactly. I'd like to I'd like to personally say that Mr. Fleming does very good work. I'm also a contractor. I appreciate his work. But I'd like to be really frank here. I think that this right-of-way vacation is a play on a bigger assemblage. And I know you don't have plans for that yet, but I also find it really interesting that he didn't notice the city built a bunch of stuff, on the property there. But that's neither here nor there. I'm interested in keeping this as a sort of poker card, if you will. We in the Porter's community have endured a lot of development that we have not been exactly excited about. We are not NIMBYs, we're actually YIMBYs. We have really positive ideas of what we want to do in our neighborhood, and we kind of like a seat at the table. And stuff like this, I think, gives us a seat at the table. If this were my property, I would want that property, or I would want that piece to be able to basically empty out onto Fifth Avenue, and as well to vacate the other right of way. I mean, this is just me. I don't know. I'm just saying. So it seems like we have, doing this is going to decrease our power later to basically lean on the developer to get a better project for the whole neighborhood. You do great work, you really do. So that, but still, we have the ability to have a say and a seat at the table is going to be lost when this leverage is lost. And I would implore you to vote against it until something comes up, that is here, and then we all come together and we can put our heads together. Then that's how I feel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other members of the public who would like to speak on this?
Thank you. Good evening. My property is just south of this lot, and so I'm trying to get a comprehensive understanding of what we're doing right now and what is it positioning for in the future and how that will affect my residency. I'm on the 6th Avenue and 6th Street, and you're talking about just a block ahead of me. So I couldn't quite understand what you were saying in the presentation. So may I understand what we're doing? What is the current, your short-term goal? And then what is your future goal? And how will that affect the residents just south of this property?
I mean, it's if you guys
I
want to
remember when I
and
moved
answer
back
that, I
here
think
in
that's a question for the
2019,
applicant.
you propositioned a high-rise garage. Is that still your vision?
Yes, we do.
I can't hear you, sir. I apologize.
I think you have to, if you guys are going to have a back and forth, you need to be at the podium so that on the recording we also get the back and forth.
So again, Jerry Diedenbach. Yes, in 2017, when we did this application, the proposal at that time was the vacation of effectively the entire T area there. And there was a low-rise building that was office that had structured parking connected to it. That has been off the table for not quite a decade, but about 7 years now. So we are here tonight, consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land development code, to vacate this portion of the right-of-way to fix this. We have no plans on our drawing boards that we are working for. John may want to do something in the future, but I would like to assure you, and you can reassure the citizens, that at that time, there would be citizen engagement, neighborhood workshops, meetings before the plan board, meetings before the city commission, but we are here to simply fix this construction issue that has been around for almost 7 or 8 years now. So there's no requirement to talk about the future. It meets the comprehensive plan, it meets the land development code, and it is fixing an error caused by errant construction. Anything that were to happen in the future would go through the full public engagement process of the city of Gainesville, and everybody would be duly notified.
Okay, so then short term, as you're correcting this problem on your property, will the residents just south of this have any ingress and egress problems when you're doing this? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Fleming, Trimark Properties, Heritage Investment. Just to be clear, because people are a little worried, this is to correct an issue that the city caused and get it off our land, so I don't have to go and sue and have it all removed. It's a simple swap. For those worried about what happens to the north commercial piece, the north commercial piece on that parcel is all to the north versus the single residential parcel to the south. Different zoning. Doesn't allow us to do, we could do whatever we want up there by code. It cannot egress through that lot. That is a residential lot. It will remain a residential lot. I think there's enough, I think I can get 2 apartments on it or something like that. I haven't looked at the code yet, but it will remain in the character of Porter's. It will not have anything to do with whatever occurs someday north of there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that want to speak on this particular issue? I know. It's okay. You take as much time as you need. Yeah, and if you could just please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Hi, my name is Avis Butler. Although I'm not a resident of Porter's, I was the executive director of the Community Development Corporation that developed the 68 units in Porter's Oaks at the time back in the late 80s. Porter's Oaks is still in existence. There were 68 homeowner units at that time. And I'm still very much attached to the Porter's community. I'm on the advisory board. And the only issue that we really have whenever we have this situation is that this comes up before the commission or the plan board before it's discussed with the Porter's neighborhood. And that's what we ask, that you come to the neighborhood first, let's discuss it, and then we'll bring it back to you, to the plan board, to do whatever the neighborhood considers. And we're talking about a Porter's neighborhood group since my existence with the Porter's neighborhood, and again, that was back in the late 80s, that meet every month, except in the summertime. They meet every month, the third Thursday of every month. And so it is a little difficult when we have issues like this, and you have to vote on something, and basically, regardless of what's happening right now, it's not presented to the community. So we'd like for something to be presented to the community. Then you could hear, you know, the advantages or disadvantages, the pluses, the minuses, and then come back and vote. But at least you would have gotten something from the community. And it just seems to be a recurring issue at this point in time. And I must say that the city was so involved. When we did Porter's Oaks, the 68 homeowner units, the city was just right there, hand in hand. They owned the land at the time, gave us the land so that we could get it developed, worked with us to make sure that every step of that process was handled correctly. And it was a great project. We'd like to see the city come back and continue to help us with the neighborhood for the housing that now needs some additional help and assistance in getting the structural components back up to code. But again, I just ask if you would please involve the community first before you make your decisions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who have a comment about this particular item?
Good evening. I'm Faye Williams, and I'm one of the community organizers of Porter's. I want to read a quote to you. This is from Audre Lorde, one of my sheroes. And also, this is Black History Month. And I was hoping that somebody would stand up and say something about Black History Month. So I'm going to at least read a quote from this Black feminist, Audre Lorde. And it's called, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." I want to repeat it. The master tools will never dismantle the master's house. I want you to think about that a minute. It means different things to different people. One of the issues that I have is that the same thing that Avis and Lena and everybody else who spoke is that, and you know, you're contracting, you have a bunch of money, so your presentations are always great. The thing that's always lacking is having input from the people who've been living there for over 100 years. I mean, here you are building a parking garage that has environmental problems. I read a lot about garages. So you're going to have 100 spaces, I guess, in that garage, which is bringing in more traffic to our neighborhood. No discussion about the pollution, no concern about coming from 6th Street. And the people who live there on that lot, there are 4 houses, no contact with those folks. You can put up a flyer, you can put up a yard sign, but you never knock on the door or really ask people, what is your opinion? It's already noisy. You know, that's another issue, environmental hazard. Nobody talks about that because it's over in Porter's and we basically get ignored just like most black neighborhoods. And what I'm saying is that if nothing else, and it may pass and it may not. I mean, I know the staff has made a recommendation, but it has to go up to the city commissioners. And we're going to set up a meeting with the city commissioners so that they will hear our voices. But I'm asking you all to not pass this and to make a suggestion that they sit down and talk with us. Because there may be another way that we can work this out instead of just, you know, popping up with a slideshow and thinking that, you know, that's going to satisfy the community. It's not. And it's creating more environmental problems over there. We're already struggling with the cement plant, Depot Avenue. I feel sorry for those students that come from the University of Florida running through that cement plant because all that dust is going into their body. When this is built, that land that they want, that's going to create more traffic coming into the parking garage. Have you thought about that? Is that one of the issues that we need to discuss? My bottom line is that we need to sit down and talk before we push something up to the city hall. So that's my program today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who want to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and maybe a motion. It seems like there's a lot of appetite for discussion. Ms. Bell.
Thank you. I have a couple of lingering questions based on what I was hearing. When did the Main Street project happen again? Did we say 2016, 2017? Was that the year someone said?
What was your question?
I was asking when the project happened that put in the stormwater management.
2016.
Yeah, the downtown connector, this trail project has been ongoing for years. I think it was completed in like 16 or 17.
So, so first of all, this was obviously an oopsie. I don't know if we've levied who's responsible for that oopsie, but this property was purchased in 2018. So was it purchased after these shenanigans happened?
Well, yeah.
We didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was on the surveys things.
Yes, Mr. Fleming is saying that it was purchased close in time to that construction, and it was constructed on private property. That's using your terms, Mr. Chair. Mm-hmm. The oopsie was the city constructed this infrastructure on private property.
Hey, so I'm
And the
not
private
surprised-
property was purchased, and then it was discovered that it was on the private property. The owner of that property is now willing to give that property fee simple back to the city. And in this right-of-way vacation here, this will adjoin the city, giving them complete coverage. It's easier to see in the oblique.
Yes, it's not to cut you off, I apologize. I understand that portion, but I was just trying to figure out the timeline that, yes, a mistake happened and it was erroneously constructed, and I'm curious who that responsible party was, whether it's the city or someone else.
It was the
and
city
then-
of Gainesville.
Great, and so then now, and then the property was purchased, and so presuming some sort of due diligence and or appraisal happened at that time, there should have been an awareness at that point, which I'm a little bit confused by. I'm just laying out what I'm trying to understand, right? And so now I'm wondering, did the city at any point consider just purchasing this sliver from the owner instead of doing this right-of-way vacation and split to kind of chop up this piece? Was that considered forest?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I have several answers or approaches to this. So, if I may, and with your sort of forgiveness, what staff looks at is exactly this criteria, and a lot of questions have come up as to whether or not that this would be leverage, for example, or whether or not mistakes were made in the past, or whether or not that this might be have some kind of negotiation purpose for the future. That is not in our criteria as staff and is not a part of our bounds or boundaries that we would recommend both to you in these presentations, but then also as we go forward to our commission. So sort of to restate it roughly, staff has found under these parameters, under these criteria, that this space does not propose, and we do not have plans for it to be functional in a way that staff is saying will be of value to the city going forward. Largely because a lot of what we are asked to evaluate is already provided by the rights of way and the services that are directly next door to it. And frankly, from what the city has developed on private property also. So what really staff in these bounds, in these boundaries, is moving forward and recommending is that to meet the city's goals and purposes as stated by these criteria, we are recommending this right-of-way vacation so that the what has happened in the past now comes under the official sort of ownership and boundaries and bounds of the city. And in a sort of, I guess, addition to that or parallel to that, if you will, is that actually, I think that I probably said too much, frankly, but this space in what we've been asked to do as staff, a lot of this criteria is being met by the infrastructure that's in place already. If there is some sort of condition, and I think that that is valuable and probably appropriate, that says in the event that the city commission approves this right-of-way vacation, it is conditional upon the transfer of rights or ownership or what have you to this space where the city has already developed this parts of infrastructure. So I do think that that's an important sort of condition that could be added to this.
Once the mistake was discovered, was it at any point considered that the city would just purchase the property from the landowner as opposed to doing this? Do you know?
That is not a part of the criteria that we reviewed.
Well, because what I'm getting at is, like, with regard to all the criteria that are before us, I think that based on, like, you know, expanding the right of way and all that, like, the city purchasing that sliver would more benefit the public than what is currently proposed, which is kind of an awkward way to go about it. I'm also wondering, is the stormwater
But that
management
would
going
cost,
to be?
I hate to interrupt, but that would
Sure.
cost the city money. Mr. Fleming is willing to give the green sliver to the city. All you have to do is allow the right-of-way vacation to effectuate the land swap. And it solves the problem because the city simultaneously gets a gift of land that fixes the city's construction error, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, and it meets all of the criteria of the comprehensive plan and the land development code. It is a simple vacation and simultaneous swap.
Well, I definitely think it would only meet the criteria if it was contingent upon the
That's
swap
fine.
happening. But
That's fine. Add that as a condition, and we will work with Kara Brecken and the Public Works Department to effectuate the two happening together and fixing the city's error.
well, I
Saves the lawsuit.
I understand and I
Yeah.
appreciate you giving all that information, but I'm just, the timeline is a little weird, is all I'm saying, with regard to the purchase happening after the oopsie happened. And I feel like, well, yes, it would cost the city money. The more straightforward and normal way of fixing it would be to just buy that sliver. However, I would like to hear what everyone else thinks, and I do think it would only pass muster if it was contingent. So,
And Mr. Chair, I would offer that the timeline is not germane to the quasi-judicial item that is before you today. It's a part of the history, but it can be solved without anybody spending any money, and that's why we're taking this path.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nay.
I really feel for the folks in the Porters, but, you know, there's a couple things. There is no parking garage. You can't build that here. The zoning doesn't support that. You're not allowed to do that. And to me, it doesn't matter when it was purchased, right? The property owner does have property rights. He could sue the city right now if he wanted to do that. So to me, the best thing is to do the pretty simple land swap. And the city gets the land, the right of way, and he is reimbursed for his, it doesn't matter when he was purchased it. It really doesn't. So I don't think that's germane to the discussion. So I support the motion. I support staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Dr. Murmur.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have one more question of the applicant, if that's okay, Mr. Diedenbach. Were there any public engagement sessions? How did that, and I know that it was touched upon, but I'm having a hard time recalling, even though it was just like
Yes,
a
Mr. Chair.
half hour ago, but please.
It was a long half hour ago.
We'd hoped this would take 5 minutes, but be that as it may. 84 notifications were sent. We had 3 notice signs posted on the property. We had 4 people that attended the virtual meeting, and public engagement did occur. There are the mail labels as part of the process. Those were the 4 people that participated in the process. And again, this
I just
is,
wanted to make sure I wasn't hallucinating that.
yeah,
Thank you.
no, absolutely, absolutely. And it was
so-
posted by city staff too,
Yeah.
so.
And, I mean, I do wish, I don't want to, I think it'd be too costly to sort of reform our public engagement requirements, a la the Gainesville Neighborhood Voices proposal, but
That's a
I would
different
like to
day.
see, it's a different thing, and that's the point I'm getting to, is that, I wish public engagement requirements were a little bit more robust in this city. But considering that this is quasi judicial, not legislative, I would have a hard time recommending denial. I do think that it's important to recommend to the city commission that we condition the vacation on the land swap, specifically to make sure that we satisfy the right-of-way vacation criteria 1A and 1A and 1I.
Before you make a motion.
I'm not making a motion.
Okay, I was
I
going
was
to say, I
just-
have one question.
Yeah, no, I was just letting that out. I think that's specifically the criteria that I think requires a conditional land swap. And I do understand that, like, and the last thing I'm gonna say, this is a little bit of an aside, I do understand that the applicant, the owner, would be well within their rights to pursue litigation. I really wish that threat would stop being made here. I don't think it's conducive to civility. I don't think it's conducive to trust with the community. So, just as a request in the future, let's try to minimize the litigation threats. Thank you.
This actually ties into my question, which is what are the risks? Because we've been alluding to it, right, that the city could get sued, but what are the risks? Say the city decides to deny this, right, whether the board, I mean, we're not the final say here, it's the city commission that's the final say. So say the city denies the vacation, what are the risks to the city in maintaining city infrastructure on private land?
I can speak to that.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, there's as everybody knows from Civics 101, the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the Due Process Clause requires that a government can't take life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, right? And what that amounts to through the courts is you can't take somebody's, when you're speaking of real property, the government can't take that property and use it for governmental purposes without providing just compensation to that property owner, right? So whether that was 200 years ago, dealing with soldiers being put in homes to be housed and fed, or now stormwater, you know, infrastructure on an old right-of-way or an old, you know, piece of private property rather. Nonetheless, like, just compensation has to be paid one way or the other for that use. And so there's various legal ways to get to that. Usually it's worked out before, you know, a lawsuit would ultimately resolve the matter, but it has to be resolved some way, whether that's the city purchasing the property or you know, any other number of avenues. But so yeah, ultimately the city would have to do that. And I'll just say, it's not in the development world, I think, as many people might know, that it's not incredibly rare that mistakes like this happen in the field. I mean, even kind of roles reversed, but as everybody might remember from the newspapers, the Standard building on the corner of 441 and University was constructed and completed before it was realized, like, wait a minute, that was built a foot and a half into city property by accident. And so that was roles reversed. It was built erroneously into city property. But nonetheless, you know, in the world of private, you know, homes, fences get put into the wrong areas all the time. These things happen all the time. It's just a matter of resolving it, and particularly when you're a government, you do have to pay for it ultimately. So this is just one resolution. Sounds like the private property owner is willing to provide it for free to the city, which is a consideration in return for this vacation. So.
All right. So the risk is money, really. I mean, if we don't accept a free gift, we're going to pay for it, essentially.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody else on the board have questions or comments, or are we ready to make a motion and vote on it? And if you're ready to make a motion, please do so.
Sounds like Murmur wants to make a motion.
Yeah, if you, floor is yours, Dr. Murmur, if you want to make a motion.
I move to recommend approval of petition LD 25-000103, and also recommend that the city commission approve conditional on the land swap that was discussed this evening. I believe that this is required to satisfy criteria 1A and 1I.
All right, do we have a second?
I will add that Mr. Dienbach is shaking his head yes.
That's fine.
Okay. I'll ask again, do we have a second on this?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
It passes with one dissension.
And then before we move on, if it's okay,
Just quickly.
I really appreciate that if the threats would stop and we would just talk to one another more civilly, and that includes any applicants and talking to the community and being a little bit more proactive than is required by law with community engagement.
I think it cuts both ways, so too. We want to make sure we're not talking about somebody else's land as a poker chip.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't
you know.
referencing that, just in general, like.
Yeah, I think the threats of suing the city is one thing, and also, you know, right, basically taking somebody's private land. Like if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going to hold your house as a poker chip," you're going to be like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, so like, I think it cuts a little bit both ways there. But anyway, soapbox over. Ms. McMullen, if you could read the next item into the agenda, please.
I have another question. Who voted against it? Was it you? Okay, thank you. And the other thing, do you have a date that it will come back to the city commissioner?
We don't yet, no.
Not yet.
I mean, when it'll be on the agenda for the city commission?
It will get put on an agenda, and neighbors within 400 feet will be notified and assigned.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you.
A sign will be posted, but it's not scheduled yet.
Okay, but probably in the next couple of weeks, you think?
No, the
It's
next
never that
couple of
fast.
months.
Yeah.
Couple of months?
Yeah, probably within 2 months. That's
Okay.
the usual timetable for this.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could you recognize me, please?
Sure, Mr. Ackerman.
Before you moved on, I was already lit.
Were you? I'm so sorry. I totally didn't see you.
I just want to make a comment about the threats of lawsuits. I've been a lawyer for a long time. We're not having any threats. That's merely laying out the range of possibilities. And it's a clear possibility, and in fact, it's a right. If we in fact turn this down, Mr. Fleming would have every right to sue us to do that. That's not a threat. We shouldn't treat it as a threat. We should treat it as full information of what we're facing. So I vigorously object to making it sound like there's some bad action by telling people what's true. I know there's a lot of censorship in our system these days, but I just don't think that's one of them that we should go down that road.
We also have very clear criteria to make decisions on in most cases, not all cases, but we need to follow that criteria to protect the city from legal action. And so I think it's important for us to understand, like, we can't just follow our heart all the time. We're here to make decisions based on criteria that's laid out in the code. You know, if we have issues with the code, we have the opportunity to suggest changes to that, but we need to follow the criteria laid out before us. We can't just feel good or bad about something for the heck of it. And there is legal ramifications and financial ramifications to the decisions that we make here, and so we need to take them seriously.
I agree.
Is there an implication that someone's not taking it seriously?
No, but I think we just need to follow the criteria that we're supposed to make decisions on. And not get sidetracked and not, have commentary about, I think everyone just needs to be respectful and get the job done. And, we don't all have to like each other. We just need to be professional, up here, out there, everywhere. So.
Noted. Ms. McMullen.
Residents for the Oaks, we do have the right to sue anybody. And as a citizen, you may not feel like you have to sue the right to do it, but we can sue as citizens. Correct? Am I right or wrong?
That's correct.
Thank you.
The threat is.
All right, next item,
I didn't mean to get us sidetracked. I was just saying we can be nicer.
2026-140 Portman University Ave, right-of-way vacation LD25-000154, with a presentation from staff.
Give it a minute, Nate. Okay. I think you can proceed now.
Okay.
tonight.
Good evening, Chair and Planning Board members. Nathaniel Chan, planner for the City of Gainesville, Department of Sustainable Development. This is a right-of-way vacation for a property you might be familiar with because the PD was recently passed. This is Portman University Avenue right-of-way vacation, LD25-000154. Right, so this is located west of 1542 West University Avenue. It is a 10-foot strip of right-of-way located west of that property address that I just mentioned. It's approximately 0.06 acres in size, and as I said, it's adjacent to that property that's zoned, has PD zoning and planned use district future land use, and the right-of-way area is currently vacant. So the request today is to vacate that 0.06 acre strip of right-of-way along the western boundary of that parcel. So here's the subject right-of-way. It's across from Library West on University Avenue. The adjacent street is Northwest 16th Street, and some landmarks for you all to keep in mind of where it is located. So just taking a look at the legal description and sketch here, I wanted to mention that the 10-foot strip of right-of-way was never sort of incorporated as part of the city street system, as part of Northwest 16th Street. But here on the legal description and sketch, at the top right, it's a 10-foot strip, as I said. It's approximately 2,538 square feet in size. And if I could just back up a second, because I forgot to include a picture of the street view of the right-of-way, but it is approximately 10 feet from the back of sidewalk right here. So it goes 10 feet back this way. So it includes part of the parking area that's in existence and stretches long ways back to the back of the property. All right. So staff reviewed this petition and found that the 10-foot strip of right-of-way does not serve a public purpose as far as the right-of-way vacation criteria are concerned. It does meet the section of the Land Development Code 30-3.41 in that does not serve a public purpose, and vacation of the right-of-way is in the public interest as it might support the future development of that parcel. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan, and vacation does not deny access to any private property. For the second criteria, the 10-foot strip is not an improved street, so these criteria sort of don't apply in this instance. But staff found that it does meet the right-of-way vacation criteria. So staff is recommending approval with the condition. So the condition that's being added here is a standard condition as part of the ordinance that is adopted for right-of-way vacation. And it's related to existing utilities in the area. So GRU Real Estate Land Rights has requested a public utility easement to be reserved over the vacation area. And I do have an example of what that that condition looks like as part of the ordinance. Again, it's typically pretty standard, but that is just the condition that staff has as part of this right-of-way vacation, and I'm here for any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. Ms. Bell.
Thank you. Just one quick question. In the staff report, it says that the purpose of this vacation would be to allow for more cohesive development, but will that be achieved if GRU maintains an easement over the strip? Like, does it actually accomplish the goal of the request? Okay, so we can defer and I can wait for the applicant presentation. Thank you.
All right, Mr.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Murmur.
Mr. Chair, once again, can you go over where this, because I'm looking at the map, the bird's eye view here in the staff report, but you had given a description with that picture at the beginning of
the
where
street
this would be
view.
the street view. Yeah, can you just repeat that for me?
Yeah, sure. So the applicant might have a better image. Apologize for not being able to provide that for you all. You do? Okay.
Never mind. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Diedenbach, floor is yours.
It's like the stars are aligned tonight. We've got two really interesting ones. I mean, interesting to Ms. Boyce and I, and I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Jerry Diedenbach, Executive Vice President, Principal Planner at NV5, and also with me is Patrice Boyce of Holtzman Vogel, who is our attorney working on the overall project. You probably remember this project because on this 0.66 acres, you approved and recommended to the city that they put a planned use district and a planned development in there. I love the word oopsies. It's gentle. I will use that with my granddaughters. But things happen as you continue to progress through projects. So as we were working on this project, and we are in engineering now, we found this, and you're gonna love this. Okay, imagine that you're standing in University Avenue and looking north across the former Burger King Foundation, and there's the University of Florida's Academic Assistance Building here. This is 15th going up the west side, so we're looking due north. That strip is right there. It is at the back of the sidewalk, as Mr. Chan said, and I carved around the tree so it wouldn't look like it was, you know what I'm saying? It goes behind the tree, of course. But it goes up here and it cuts through the foundation of the Burger King and where the Burger King parking lot is. This area of land is a 10-foot strip that has always been a part of the property out there. This also went through the process. In this one, 70 notifications were sent, 2 notice signs were posted on the property. I personally posted signs on the property one of the times, and we had 0 attendees in our neighborhood workshop process. We did actually also sign in advance of tonight's public hearing on this. So the property, and you have to go back 121 years to find this issue here. The 10-foot right-of-way strip was caused by when the city's block was constructed. The block was constructed 10 feet too large. 65? 65 years ago? No, longer than that, I think. So this subject right-of-way, and you can see the yellow lines are the Alachua County Property Appraiser Database lines, okay? So here's the parcel of land. Here's the 10-foot strip going from University Avenue North, and you see it cuts through the foundation, across the drive aisle of where the Burger King's drive-through window was, and it goes right through those parking spaces. And actually, if you look at the University of Florida's building here, that little balcony area that extends out and their landscaping is in that same area. So for several decades, everyone has enjoyed the quiet use of this as part of the property in here, but it is actually an area that was offered, we shall say, but never formally accepted or incorporated into the street network, because the street network is here, the sidewalk is here. When we rebuild this property, though, Mr. Chair, to Madam Bell's question, that proposed condition will not work. We have an alternate condition that I will talk about. So here are the historical surveys of the property, and you can see that piece came out to where the city's edge of road is. When we did our modern survey for this property, we found the 10-foot strip during the course of our engineering post-PUD PD. Ms. Boyce actually found this and said, oh boy. And so we conferred with Mr. McDermott, city manager, planning staff, and in this case, the scenario was, and I jokingly say this, if I invite you to dinner but you don't come, you don't accept my offer. The offer of the right-of-way was put on the plat, but it was never realized as part of the city street system. It was never accepted. The city never built anything in it, so there's no road, sidewalk, water, sewer, electric, gas, fiber, etc. What does exist in there is the old concrete wet well of the grease trap of the former Sportsman's Lounge and the Burger King. Okay, we thought, and Ms. Boyce and I on February 9th had a conversation with Neil Beery of Gainesville Regional Utilities. We thought that there may be GRU fiber optic going up here. However, We did find actually the handhold boxes, which are where the fiber optic connections are located, and I can actually show you that. Similar to the previous application, this is consistent with the City of Gainesville's comprehensive plan and land development code. We have followed the process to a T. We are happy to be here tonight. And this, I have turned the survey 90 degrees, so north is up, University Avenue is here. This green line here goes to a handhold box. There's a junction point here where the fiber continues down University Avenue, westerly toward the stadium. It goes to a handhold box here, here, and then here. So actually, the supposed utilities are not under this 10-foot strip. That's the 10-foot strip, and you can see how it clips the edge of the foundation. There's where the drive-through window was for Burger King. There's the parking spaces. So this is the area that has always been presumed to be part of the property, but was actually 121 years ago in the plat offered to the city. So hopefully that clarifies that. So we are recommending or requesting respectfully that you modify those words slightly, and instead of saying that we would reserve a easement right over what we're vacating, which will not work, this is what we would like to have as a condition. The applicant shall reserve or reinstate public utility easement, or plural, to allow the continued operation and maintenance of utilities associated with the redevelopment project. And is the case with all of these redevelopment projects that we do in downtown. We are constantly rebuilding water, sewer, electric, gas, fiber. So as a part of our engineering approval through the development plan permitting process, what we will do is we will simultaneously extinguish old easements in favor of new easements for the new utilities that will be constructed. So very astutely, Mr. Chair, Ms. Bell identified as written and recommended in the staff report, it wouldn't suffice. And I told staff that last week, but it's our job to present to you that we need to have that flexibility, and that is the common practice that we do all the time. We are doing those simultaneously. We will give this up in favor of where the new utilities go. And I can tell you probably 80% of the time when we have our first step meetings and our GRU project meetings, GRU whispers to us, help us get the utilities in the real easement. And so it happens all the time. So this is a kind of a common thing, except this one's kind of unique. 121 years ago, somebody wrote it on a plat and it was just, the block was overbuilt and it's always been part of the property. So we're respectfully requesting that you follow the staff recommendation, but make the condition, give us flexibility to put the easements where the utilities actually get designed, constructed, and permitted in the new plan. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions, of course.
All right, Ms. Bell, did that answer your question, or do you have more?
That was very good to catch that.
It was close to it. Do you have a street view picture of that photo you showed with the yellow strip, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I go back.
There's just one thing showing up in the street view that I'm curious about. It's
Sure.
like a white PVC pipe with a metal fitting. Okay, so you said that's 15th Street on the left?
White PVC.
When you were talking, I thought you said 15th, but we're actually looking at 16th
Yeah, this
University.
is 16th. This is
So,
14th, and the property address is 1542 West University. That's
So
16th.
you can't see it in this angle, but on the Google Street View that I'm looking at, it's basically behind that tree that you had carved out.
Oh.
There's some sort of white PVC pipe sticking out of the ground.
there's a piece of old irrigation with a backflow preventer on there.
Okay, and then the other question re utilities is in the staff report. It indicates a sanitary sewer manhole within the strip, but you
Right.
said there's no utilities
And
currently present.
that manhole that's there, that's the one that we found. It's not sanitary sewer. It's the grease trap from the restaurant.
So it was misnamed on the survey.
It was. And then
Okay.
we went out and we flipped the cap, and actually surveyors went down in and said, this is not going anywhere. This was a former grease trap. Because
Okay.
the kitchen of the Burger King, and I would say the fryers and all were here, and they feed into that manhole that's right there on private property, and it's a wet well. It's a concrete cylindrical grease trap.
Heard.
That'll all go away.
Okay, and so just for clarity, so you're saying that once the site is redeveloped and potential water, wastewater, et cetera, utilities are run to the site, within what would presumably be the old right-of-way, you are proposing that your condition is to issue an easement of wherever the new utilities end up being, as
That's correct.
opposed to this strip itself.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
New easements will be granted, and most likely it will be located off of this area here, because there's switchgear here, so probably things are going to be routed onto this side of the property in the future redevelopment. But wherever we engineer, permit, and ultimately construct them, we'll put new easements on there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
in
think
concert with
that's-
GRU. It's our common practice.
I think that's fair. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That might be the first time somebody opened up a sewer grate and actually wished it was a sewer, huh? Go
No,
in
we
there and
didn't.
see a grease trap. That's worse than going down in the sewer.
Yeah. It's not pretty.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Murmur.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Chan, if that's okay. Could you please explain why staff is insisting on the staff condition as opposed to the applicant's preferred condition?
Yes, so the condition that was placed in the staff report is reflective of GRU's staff condition that was placed upon review of the project. So I think we're okay with the condition that the applicant is proposing. We'll just want to keep GRU specifically involved in the maybe miscommunication that was occurring.
So staff, there would be like no serious concerns about accepting the applicant's proposed condition?
I don't think so, but we'll, like I said, we'll want to keep GRU updated on that.
Not from our perspective, no.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Consult with GRU, obviously, but there's more time for that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. If there are no more questions from the board, we'll open it up for public comment on this particular item. If you want to have a say on this one, come on up. All right, then we'll bring it back to us for discussion and or a motion.
Can you please go to your slide with the language that you proposed?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Can I motion?
You can, yeah, anybody can motion. If you want to do it, you can do it.
I move to recommend approval of petition LD 25-000154 with the condition that the applicant shall reserve or reinstate public utility easement or easements to allow the continued operation and maintenance of utilities associated with the redevelopment project.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Ms. McMullen, if you would read the next item into the agenda, please.
Yes, the next item is 2026-141 Compass Northwest 8th Avenue PD rezoning LD 25-000151 with a presentation from Nathaniel Chan.
Hi. Good evening, Chair, Plan Board members. Nathaniel Chan, Planner for Sustainable Development. I'm presenting on LD 25-000151. This is the Compass Northwest 8th Avenue PD rezoning. Compass is the owner's listed name. And the PD rezoning is located at 3925 Northwest 8th Avenue. It is approximately 2.34 acres in size and has existing single-family or SF zoning and SF future land use. There is a single-family dwelling currently on the property. The proposed PD seeks to maintain the residential density that's allowed with the single-family zoning district, so 12 units per acre. At 2.34 acres, that's about 28 units maximum. It will establish design standards similar to SF zoning, but will allow the unplatted, the development of unplatted single-family detached residential units. So here's the subject property. It's on the bottom left corner of the screen, just to show exactly where it is in proximity to some of the other things that you might be more familiar with. So 8th Avenue east-west, and on the right side of the screen, you have Northwest 34th Street. There's Albert Ray Massey Park over there and Littlewood Elementary. And the subject property is located on Northwest 8th Avenue, next to the Temple Shir Shalom. So here's the future land use map. The future land use, you'll notice, is not changing. It is staying the same and consistent with the proposed plan development, but it is surrounded by single-family future land use. So SF is in the yellow to the northeast and south of the subject property, and to the west you have residential low. It is future land use existing is compatible with this predominantly single-family area. Here is the existing zoning, as I said, so single-family zoning as well on the northeast and south of the subject property. And there is a planned development to the west that is Park West, and it has was developed in 1982. Right, and the proposed zoning, as I said, is planned development. So just taking a look at the PD layout plan here, the conceptual plan might show it a little bit better, but there are three sort of land use areas for the PD, A, B, and C. So you'll see at the top here, Northwest 8th Avenue, that is the singular ingress and egress proposed for the subject development. So as I said, A, B, and C land use areas. So A is the parking and circulation. So that's coming off of Northwest 8th Avenue and sort of central to the site. B, you'll see in the brick pattern. So that is primarily where the residential areas are being located. Again, single family detached development. Here in B on Northwest 8th Avenue and sort of surrounding the proposed parking and circulation for the site. And then labeled here in C is common spaces and open areas. Other details about the planned development, maintaining essentially the single family zoning design standards, so maximum 3 stories or 35 feet in height, and establishing some separation requirements similar to single family, but that's one main difference I'll point out is that the proposed spacing between buildings is going to 6 feet, whereas if you were to do platted single-family development, you would have about 10 feet in between, so 5-foot setbacks between property lines. That is the main difference with the planned development in that it's not platted, it will not be subdivided, you'll have multiple single-family dwellings on one property. No increases with the height. It will establish minimum parking requirements upon itself. So the applicant is stating 1.5 parking spaces per unit, and then the maximum established by the Land Development Code, of course. And I think that is all I'd mention on that part. Here's the PD conceptual plan that I had mentioned. So you can see again, Northwest 8th Avenue being the main ingress to the property. The conceptual plan shows 20 units. The maximum, of course, would be 28 units at 12 units per acre. There are, I would also mention the 10-foot setback being shown on the PD layout plan, 10-foot setback from property lines. So any buildings that are placed in the land use area B have a 10-foot setback from the property line, and the PD also allows for construction of like a clubhouse or amenity center as part of this plan as well. Staff reviewed the rezoning review or the subject petition and found that it meets the rezoning review criteria and the 30-3.14 of the of the Land Development Code. It does not necessarily propose any new permitted uses, so the permitted uses will remain the same in being single-family development. It is consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood and is consistent with ongoing city plans. The proposed PD zoning also meets the PD rezoning review criteria. That's 30-3.17 of the Land Development Code. The PD has internal and external compatibility, is consistent with the comprehensive plan, does not propose any sort of increase in the intensity of development. The only sort of difference is that it's single-family development, unplatted, so not going through any subdivision process, provides for adequate open space and recreation areas, is mindful of environmental constraints, of which there are not too many on this subject property, and discusses the transportation ingress and egress. As part of that, so staff reviewed the application. We are recommending approval of LD 25-000151 with the conditions for the planned development. So I'll go through those right now. So condition 1 establishes the permitted uses by right for each land use as identified in this table. So this is just outlining A, B, and C, as I mentioned. A being the sort of vehicular parking sort of circulation for the subject property. B being the main areas for residential units at 12 units per acre maximum. And then C being that common area. If there's something not listed in this table, we'll defer back to the single family zoning district in terms of the permitted uses. So that is there for condition 1. Condition 2 sets the following development standards. So it sets the minimum lot area and width. Of course, they're not planning to subdivide, but I suppose in case that is a desire in the future, there are no minimum lot width or area requirements. It sets a maximum lot coverage of 55%, establishing the minimum and maximum parking upon themselves. Minimum being 1.5 spaces per unit, and then maximum as established by the Land Development Code. Building setbacks 10 feet from all property lines, and then setbacks between buildings conforming to the Florida Building Code, that is typically 6 feet between buildings measured from the overhang. And then maximum building height 35 feet is pretty consistent with the 3 stories that is allowed in single family. Last condition is just the mechanical screening. Screening for mechanical equipment, kind of standard as well. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you so much. Lastly, I wanted to mention that I did forward you all an email that we received from the adjacent property owner. She lives on Northwest 8th Avenue from this picture to the left. So you all have that for your review as well, and we've met with her on site and talked with her in length.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. That was a very comprehensive presentation. Thank you for that. Ms. Bell.
Thank you. Did you look into what the public commenter asked about with regard to like looking into the runoff issue out of curiosity?
Yes, we did. So we coordinated and met with her on site. So Jenny Ford, our environmental coordinator, met with her. I was there with stormwater staff to meet with her about those specific concerns. I believe we were able to address the problems that she raised at the meeting on her property. I think we assured her that this project and the planned development is at its earliest stage in the development process. So, applying the zoning, and later on we'll do, the development plan. Of course, if they're doing 20 units, it would rise to a level where a neighborhood workshop may be required, depending on what, actually gets submitted. But there would be other opportunities to talk about that. And then, of course, with redevelopment of this site, they're required to improve the site's drainage concerns or stormwater other concerns as part of that process. So she'll be kept abreast, and hopefully if there's anything else that I'm sort of speaking on her behalf now, she can definitely reach out to me to talk about those concerns too.
Thank you. And my other comment / question is, I'm a big fan of infill development type projects like this, but I'm curious, does staff have any concerns at all about the single ingress / egress and traffic on 8th Avenue or anything like that?
At this stage, we don't. So as part of the PD rezoning, transportation staff reviews the application. They did not find any issues with that specifically. There are existing sidewalks on Northwest 8th Avenue, no existing bike lanes, but at this stage, no, there's not a concern that's been raised yet.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. It might be for you, Mr. Tanner, it might be for the applicant. In looking for this PD, did we rule out basically every other existing zoning that we have in Gainesville that is not a PD that might satisfy what the applicant wants to do with this land?
Yeah, so as part of the review, I'll go back to just the zoning map for now. I'll go back to the big one. We did look at other zoning districts. So you can see RMF7 is south, but it's sort of not contiguous, if you will. We'd be establishing sort of multifamily in that site. I don't think that's as part of our review, not something we would recommend, but it's in a sort of sea of single family. This is sort of an opportunity to redevelop a site that has just one single family dwelling. So they are, of course, if this does not sort of pan out, they can apply and do subdivision, which would under single family zoning otherwise. But it would either just be the single family that would be compatible with this site, or planned development, which allows something similar but slightly more unique, I would say.
Okay, so like just for clarification, if the developer on this site ultimately decides not to develop what they have planned in the presentation that you showed, let's say they sell the land, but it's a PD now, and that's what it would just revert back to basically the single family zoning that's around it, or would it remain as a PD here?
It would remain as a PD, so they would still have to follow the PD zoning standards that are outlined before you all and the conditions that are established ultimately by the commission. They are very consistent with the single family zoning district. Any sort of change to the PD, of course, would necessitate a PD amendment. So that's another application for you all to look at it and provide direction. But yeah.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Any other questions from the board? Are we getting you for a third time? Oh, okay. Please come on up.
Good evening. I'm Margot Maurer with NV5, and it's a pleasure to be here before you this evening. We have a really interesting, unique approach to single-family detached planned development here. So thank you, Mr. Chair and board members, for your time this evening. Staff provided a very thorough presentation, so I'll kind of move through this quickly, and I'll be available to answer any questions you have. So this is a rezoning application. We're requesting to change the zoning on the site from single family to planned development. This PD zoning is necessary to implement the site's single family land use designation. Otherwise, this would be unobtainable under the standard single family zoning that the city currently allows. The PD zoning would allow a uniquely planned single-family detached neighborhood with one of the unique components of it is it would provide shared parking, open space areas, and circulation within the site. This would also provide enhanced diversity and availability of housing options within an already residential area by introducing an efficient approach to single-family residential development. This would also maintains compatibility with the surrounding residential properties and nature. So in 2024, this board and also the commission approved a comprehensive plan amendment to update the city's single-family future land use designation to change the maximum density from 8 dwelling units to 12 dwelling units an acre. The proposed PD aligns with this policy update as it promotes flexible lot size to accommodate a diversity of housing types. The density is appropriate with the single-family future land use designation. It provides context-sensitive design to ensure compatibility with the surrounding residential houses, and it reflects a sustainable land use pattern by promoting clustered development, which is not allowed or not contemplated in the city's land development code standard zoning classifications. Okay, here's our application timeline. We followed the process beginning with a first step meeting in August. We had the required neighborhood workshop on October 28th, submitted a complete application, which staff reviewed through January. And upon finding the application sufficient for public hearing, I'm here before you this evening. In accordance with the city's neighborhood workshop requirements, the applicants provided 104 mailed notifications, 1 posted notice, and held the neighborhood workshop at 6 p.m. on October 28th. We had 5 attendees attend the meeting. The project was also noticed for public hearing this evening. They did a wonderful job at describing the context area. Here you can see it's just south of Northwest 8th Avenue between 34th and 43rd Street. It is surrounded by a mix of multifamily and single-family residential uses. Also near the site, you have a variety of office and retail, as well as parks and recreation facilities, cultural centers, and the site also happens to be within UF context area. Right, aerial shows, you can see the site's already developed with a single existing residential building. Site has the city's single-family future land use designation, which allows densities up to 12 dwelling units per acre. And at 2.34 acres, the single family land use would allow 28 dwelling units on the site at max density. Okay, single-family zoning. We're requesting planned development zoning on the site. The zoning map here shows the site actually abuts PD zoning to the west. Those PDs permit both attached and detached dwellings. This demonstrates that the proposed PD is compatible with those uses. So here's the PD layout plan that would be adopted as part of the rezoning. You can see here the shared access parking in blue, as well as the common open space areas throughout the site. The detached single-family dwelling is consistent with the intent of the underlying land use and surrounding residential character, and the density is consistent with the allowed limits. As Nate also showed, this is one concept that shows the site's land use and PD zoning being implemented, which is consistent with the single-family flu. As staff has also noted, there is need in Gainesville for additional housing to serve current and projected populations, and this project provides an opportunity to meet a need that might not otherwise be met in an area where you have individually platted single-family residential lots predominantly. Application demonstrates consistency with the city's comprehensive plan, future land use, potable water, wastewater, and transportation mobility elements. And staff has also identified consistency with multiple goals, objectives, and policies, and that it meets the criteria of land development code requirements for rezoning. And upon finding of consistency, the applicant respectfully requests the plan board accept staff's recommendation with the proposed PD conditions and recommend approval to the City Commission. And I will be available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any questions from the board? Surprisingly, no. Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who want to comment on this item? Just ask that you please state your name before you.
Hi, I'm Bill Dorman. I live directly across 8th Avenue, and this property is essentially my entire view, and I am in favor of this change. I enjoy the house that's there, but I think this increase in density is going to be great for Gainesville, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm in favor of it.
Great, thank you. Are there any other members of the public who want to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion. I will say, before we do a motion, I think that the city should probably draw some inspiration. I hate PDs. I'm just going to say it like philosophically. I think it would be great if our existing zoning was flexible enough to cover creative uses of the land, such as what's been presented to us tonight. So I would hope that the city would go forward and maybe draw some inspiration from this creative application of what would otherwise just be regular single-family zoning land to encourage more development, more housing development, and maybe we can allow for more flexible development within our existing single-family zoning, and then we wouldn't need to have to do PDs, which again are kind of, they're great in some ways, but also 30 years from now when we want to do something different with that land, it becomes more of a pain. So anyway, that's my soapbox. I'll kick it over to one of you guys for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve petition LD 25-000151 to rezone the property.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Congratulations. Ms. McMullen, if you'd read the next item into the record, please.
Yes, so the next item is a discussion item on historic district buffers. This is a discussion of historic district buffers specified in Land Development Code sections 30-4.8C and 30-4.1. Generally just in 30-4.8. I did provide, pass around some printouts of something that was submitted by Chair Sanchez with some proposed language changes. And
I can speak a little bit more on that if you want me to give a little bit of context, or Mr. Edelton, if you want to speak first.
And just a little bit of additional context for that. Of course, staff has been asked directly by the City Commission to look into historic buffers for the University Heights North and South, specifically to see if there has been some sort of impact on the development or development opportunities of those areas. So staff are proceeding in that direction, and we are doing our analysis and research to look into that. Of course, ultimately, that will come back if we do have recommendations, and we'll come back before you all and then go before the City Commission.
Great, thank you for that. I was going to echo a lot of that. This is really City Commission driven. They, I think it was at a GPC meeting, right, that they passed a motion kind of late in the meeting. They were talking about University Heights. I think they were really looking at the north part of University because some of the redevelopment that's happened there has largely been, I think, businesses that maybe some members of the commission don't find necessarily desirable for the area, or frankly for any area. And so I know the board has in the past had an appetite at looking at historic buffers, and so what you guys have before you here is really, I think, just a really simple, if we just strike out a few parts of the existing code, I think that gets at what the City Commission was looking to do, which is to just deal with the historic buffer zones in the University Heights area. We're not looking at some of the other historic areas, so I think they wanted to be very targeted with this. And so that's sort of the intention with the updated language here. And it's so minor, you might have a hard time seeing where it's at, but it's the blue crossed out. There's, yeah, it doesn't take much, let me tell you, to sort of make this, I think, compatible with what the City Commission wants. But on page 1, there's a couple of strike-throughs, and on page 3, there's one strike-through there.
I like vape shops.
What's that?
I like vape shops.
Oh, well, I mean,
That's all they're getting.
that's all now. They're getting vape shops and liquor stores, so I think, yeah. Dr. Murmur.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope this question is relevant, despite the fact that we don't, there's no parcels in the city that are zoned U1, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but theoretically, there could be in the future.
Yeah.
What would be the benefit, just to, far in the future, if this happens, if somebody wants to rezone to U1, what would be the benefit of, if you look here, D, multifamily developments, D1? What would be the benefit of keeping U1 in there? Why not strike U1 as well as designated historic district?
I think that's probably in there because it's the sort of synonymous with the single-family zoning district, or it's the transect version of the single-family zoning district. So it's just to kind of mirror that language a few words before that talks about being located within 100 feet of single-family property.
I mean, I get that, but I thought the idea of multiple transects is like a slow transition from less dense to more dense. So U1 would theoretically be a more dense than single family. No?
No. It's,
Less dense than single family?
It's a weird
I
one.
can double check, but it is single-family.
It is single family, and maybe sort of to go back to my opening as well, I think that that is a great thing that staff can be looking into for our research. And it would be helpful from you all to say, hey, when you all as staff do bring this back, please make sure you look at U1 and how that would tie into this.
I would like that, yeah, because I'm just a little confused about the U1 thing.
We should
in
get rid
general.
of U1.
I'm sorry, I don't know, I didn't mean to take us off track. I'm just a
No,
little-
I think it's a good question because it kind of sticks out there. I mean, U1 is it's a different thing. That's why I'm not. But we kept it there. It's not crossed out because it is like a single family zoning district. My personal stance is that U1 is useless, and I don't think we should have it. But that's a different discussion. So.
It does have the same density allowances as single-family at 12 dwelling units per acre. U1 does.
Right.
But it would just come with different design requirements than the standard single-family zoning district. But the uses should be the same.
Yeah, I could see that for the U1 itself. It's just the I can understand philosophically with single family zoning how you'll want to create some distance between the 100 feet distance between single family zoning and multifamily development. But with U1, I think philosophically you want to start at that transition away, even though U1 itself is single family. It's the area.
But for
for
this though, it's really just I was just being very focused with the historic buffer zone. So
that's fine.
I would love to get into a conversation about the transits in U1, but I knew I don't want to lump it in with this because that's definitely not.
I just want things to make sense. You're right.
Appetite.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah,
I know, but I agree with you that it's a weird one, but I'm trying to keep this focused and sort of easy for the commission to act on and digest. And it was sort of my read in watching that meeting that this is kind of what they wanted, was just really targeted, fixing of the buffers in this one targeted area. So, Miss Bell.
The strike-throughs in the table in C, so the idea is to just remove buffers altogether from the University Heights areas?
That would be the idea, yeah.
Okay, because right now they're just south. We want it to be north and south to be consistent on both sides of the road.
You would have, right now it's just, so that's why you have a lot of development on the south side, and on the north side you've got
None.
Exactly. The development you do have is vape shops and liquor stores, essentially.
Okay. Got it. That was it. Just
right. And I don't mean to pick on those businesses. That is something that the city commission noted in their meeting. I think that was sort of the impetus for them wanting staff and ultimately us to look at the historic buffers.
I mean, does anybody know why it was originally developed to only be one side and not the other?
Because there's a 100-foot setback. And so the property's not big enough to support the buildings that they have on the south side.
The historic district just comes closer on the north side, so the 100-foot setback doesn't let you get there. Whereas on the south side, the historic district boundary is further away, so you can get to the height you need on University.
If you look at that tumble-down liquor store and some of that stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
There's a wall right there, and just on the other side of that wall is the beginning of the historic district.
The parcel layout is different, so a lot of the parcels that front University are immediately adjacent to historic district on that side of the street. It's not the same way on the south side.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Great. This is but one recommendation. This is my recommendation. If people have other ideas, this is the forum to discuss them. If people like this and want to just, recommend that city staff run with this, then, obviously I'm going to say great. This is...
I would prefer that we run with this and with some urgency so that we can maybe get this done in time for summer or something like that.
Great. Dr. Murmur.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love when I can do this. I agree with Bob.
Great. When we can get two Bobs on the same page, it's a good night.
They voted the same all night.
Mr. Chair, I've changed my mind.
Miss Sutton.
I would just ask, and maybe staff can speak to this, does Kathleen have any opinions? She's not here tonight. She does come to meetings sometimes. I would want to get her take on it.
That's going to be a part of our analysis, absolutely.
Okay, so moving forward, she would be a part of it before
Of
it gets to the
course.
city commission. She would be at the city commission to answer
Absolutely,
questions.
We would not be doing our job if we did not include our specialists.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there is as you, a couple of the board members know, a good bit of history as to how this was put into the code. So we'd want to bring that back as part of the formal discussion and the vote, and as part of our recommendation, which we have not formulated yet.
Okay, perfect.
Dr. Murmur.
So, one more thing. So, and to Bob's point about bringing this back to us with some urgency, what would be the earliest reasonable month to ask that this be brought back if we?
This request came directly from the mayor and the commissioner and is backed up by the city manager. There's nothing that could happen faster than that request. So as soon as possible.
So, if we said we wanted it to come back for the March meeting, is that unreasonable? Because
I will say that we are bringing it back as quickly as we can to our manager and to the mayor and to our commission.
I think we do have to bring it, I think we need to bring it back to the general policy committee first before it comes back to the plan board, right? Was that the discussion? So it won't be on the March plan board agenda because we've got to bring it, we've got to do, our research and analysis, bring it back to the commission and then bring it back here. That's, a lot of that is predicated on the next one that you'll get an update on, which is the comprehensive plan. So, but yes, we're working on it. It won't be here in March, though.
And our manager directs staff and has large influence over what agenda that our items would be on. And then, of course, the mayor ultimately decides which agenda that's on. So for us to try to pin down exactly when that would happen, I don't think that would serve anybody at this point. But to say that, yes, it is the highest priority right now because of the direction.
okay, thank you.
Fair enough. Anybody else want to comment on the item? Otherwise, I think we're all kind of aligned on the changes here, and you guys are doing your own research, and everybody seems to be cognizant of how urgent this is, which is great. So we can move on then.
I don't want to discuss 200 people. Just trolling them.
No. Okay, well, let's move on to the next item.
We have to make a.
No, this is a discussion item, so it's really.
Nope, no motion needed.
Yeah,
No public comment?
discussion. So we're not voting on anything, but if anybody, I guess if somebody wants to talk about this.
Gotta make it worthwhile, we sat here.
Sure.
Oh, geez, this time. Jerry Dienbach, yeah, we do want to, and we would support the action that you're taking. I was at the commission meeting with Ms. Maurer last time, and I believe the mayor's comments, we're getting a canyon on one side of University Avenue, and I don't know how many times Ms. Sutton has, in her day job, done due diligence as we've done as CHW and now NV5 on the north side of University Avenue. Those district lines, and I have looked at every linear foot of the boundary lines, are kind of willy-nilly, and they have precluded some really cool projects, and it extends all the way like from Central Florida office products, or the 6th Street corridor, all the way to the hotel, and it's really precluded a lot of opportunity to the city. So I appreciate your support. I like the fact that the Bobs are on the same side here, and
Right.
we'll be sending something forward to the city commission to support this, because it really needs to happen for our community. Thanks.
Thank you.
And we can just make sure the minutes reflect that the sense of the board was what was presented here in this handout, correct?
Okay, yes.
Great. Oh, one more.
Patrice Boyes, I'm just here as a land use attorney and a former member of the Historic Preservation Board for 9 years with Mr. Dienbach. In fact, that's where we met in the early 90s. And we were both on that board when these historic districts were laid down in University Heights. And there's a narrative I can provide staff. I did some research, you may have pulled it already. The history of the southern University Heights district was specifically put in place to discourage development around the redevelopment around what was then Alachua General Hospital. And there was a different philosophy back then. The campus needed to stay over there, hospital needed to stay here. And so what you got is an artifact. And every time Mr. Diedenbach and I try to do the Tetris of getting a building to fit north or south, it's really difficult. And you have to do the step down. And so it does not always pencil for the developer easily, particularly with, the IZ ordinance requiring set-asides for affordable housing. So until you chip away at all of that, that's why you're seeing so many PDs, because we have to go up to make it pencil. On the north side, in my other hat, I'm on the foundation board for Santa Fe College, and we own the old Central Florida Office Supply Shopping Center now. And the buffer line goes directly down the middle of the buildings. Right. So all of those buildings on redevelopment would be limited in height severely. And it's a $10 million property. The college, I don't believe, has plans next week to do anything, and I won't speak for the president, but I can imagine if he were here, he would support this idea. So thank you. Any questions or if staff needs anything, we're here.
Thank you.
Boyce, did you just confess to being the author of this problem 10 years ago?
We voted against it. We voted against it, but we had a historic preservation planner who was very good, and he was interested in saving the church houses on the south side and protecting those, which is, you can do that. You don't need to encumber the development up on University to accomplish that. So I think, and I would speak for Jerry on this, if you look at the quality of the historic structures and tailor your regulation very narrowly to protect those resources, I think you'd see support in the development community, at least from us. But some of the stock you're protecting on the north side, no.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
We don't want to save the historic plasma center? That's on that. It's really like oopsie is kind of the theme of tonight's meeting. Like mistakes, oopsie, like an oops was like kind of the theme of tonight's meeting. We've made a lot of mistakes in the past. I feel like this meeting is trying to address some of them, not all of them obviously, but some of them. Did I miss anybody? Anybody else want to talk on this item? Or? All right, I think we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
All right, the next and final item on the agenda is the ImagineGNV Comprehensive Plan Update. So I believe Mr. Chan will provide you with a bit of info, an update on that item. Obviously, at your last meeting, you had a great deal of discussion, in-depth discussion on the plan. So we'll provide you an update tonight.
Hi, good afternoon, or good evening. Nate Chan, planner for sustainable development and lead on the comprehensive plan update. I just wanted to start out by saying thank you very much for going through the comprehensive plan in length, in depth, all 10 chapters at your last meeting. Really appreciate all the feedback that you all provided. And just a second ago, I was also thinking that we've met individually with most of the board in each of your other community groups too, and I think that is fantastic, and thank you so much for allowing us to do that work as well, meeting individually with EDA, individually with Gainesville for People, with the ACLC and AHAC. As part of that, we have a lot of feedback to comb through and look at and consider as we are redrafting the plan. So I do have, thank you, Patrick, for bringing up the overhead. I do have our stab at a timeline that we're looking at internally. If it's good with you all and leadership at the city. This isn't on the website yet, but I felt it prudent to share with you all just as an update for where we are and where we're expecting to go. So I'll leave one here, and then I'll just pass these ones to Brittany, maybe. Thanks so much. So you'll see that the timeline says planned. It is our draft attempt at forecasting the next few months. So you'll see January and February in purple. Those are the community meetings that we attended and went to after hours, sometimes in the cold, sometimes in the very nice warm building. But we got a lot of great feedback at each of those. Very special shout out to Allison for helping us coordinate all of that effort. It would not have been possible at that level without her diligent eyes on it and constant communication and reaching out to people to try to get those scheduled. So as part of that, we have a lot of feedback to go through, and yeah, you all met in January, and here we are in February talking about our next steps. So our next steps are as follows. You'll see that there aren't any specific meetings in March that we're looking at, but all of that is just condensed in the drafting phase. So I may have said it before, but we've been in like kind of two phases at once. That's why you see sort of an overlap in the engagement and the drafting part. So we've been doing a little drafting on the side, meeting with people, doing more visioning stuff. So now we're finally, I believe, in a place where we're focusing really on looking at the plan, making revisions, and responding to feedback where we can. So I'll start out here at our planned actions. There's 5 of them. So and they relate to the April looking forward. So we have reviewing feedback from community members and preparing a comment and response summary. It is something that we've put at the commission level and continuing to do so. At each of our public meetings, we're writing down notes, transcribing those, and then having a response that includes the feedback that at each of your individual groups have given verbally and submitted. So that comment and response summary is very important. Of course, we're preparing a revised draft, coordinating with the chapter leads. That's sort of our internal name for the other departments that are working on the comprehensive plan, and revising their specific areas. We're preparing a revised data and analysis draft. Very special shout out to Nick Hill for helping us come up with a great format that we believe is and will be accepted formatting wise by the state, and is a really easy way for us to look at the data and analysis and the implications it has on the comprehensive plan. Third, we're preparing a comparison crosswalk document between the existing comp plan and the ImagineGNV draft that's being revised. So Ari has taken up that work and is helping us give you all a better look at the existing comprehensive plan and what it is translating to with the new version. That will also help with our state review and seeing what is existing and what is being changed. So thank you very much, Ari, for helping with that work and effort. So we'll have that being prepared in March. And then lastly, is just sort of continued coordination with other agencies in state review on statutory requirements. We've been doing a little bit of that work already, but of course continuing to work with others to make sure we're hitting state statute requirements, as well as listening to feedback from community members on what they want to see in the plan. Next, we're looking at April. So we're specifically looking at the April 23rd GPC meeting, General Policy Committee, with those four things. So the comment and response summary, the revised draft, the data and analysis draft, and the comparison crosswalk document. The reason we're looking at April here is because of the sort of internal deadlines to get to a commission level meeting that happens early in April. So like April 1st around there is when we have to have all of that stuff done. So we're kind of hustling to get to that point. And at that level, we'll also have city manager leadership review sort of in this middle period. On the same day, I've also listed here, it's challenging for us, but we can do it, is just kind of a follow-up of that same, those same things. So the draft, the data analysis, comparison document, and then the comment and response summary. Looking ahead of that is just May. We're getting into the area where we're less clear about what's going to occur and be discussed at the April GPC meeting, but we have the deadline for the evaluation and appraisal notification letter due to Florida Commerce on May 1st. So we are preparing that, and we'll be putting that forward to the commission for their approval. Not listed on this timeline, but that deadline is in May. And then I've also just listed a May discussion, should you all want it. I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Dr. Murmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would it be easier on you and Allison and Ari and Forrest and everybody if we moved our April, if everyone's schedules allow, move our April meeting to the 30th? Because if that's easier for you, I think we would probably be served better if you had time to digest what feedback you got at the GPC meeting.
Yeah.
What was that?
You're just saying give them another week.
For the plan board one.
Yeah, because we generally don't want to be talking about something that's being talked about at a GPC meeting at the same time, or earlier in the day. There's not a whole lot of time.
Yeah, so if it's easier on staff, and we would be better served with staff having digested the information and be able to present what was discussed there.
The backup would all be due before the GPC meeting anyway. So it's not like we would get an updated version of anything. They could bring us a verbal expression of what happened, but there's not gonna be any updated documents in 1 week.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I don't really see a point in that. I mean, they did the same thing in January. They took it to GPC and to us the same day.
That's a good
That
point
was
about the
fine.
backup.
Yeah, nothing's gonna change in 1 week. They might as well just have it fresh in mind. It makes for a long day for you all, but at least you don't have to do it 2 weeks in a row.
I agree, and I very much appreciate the thoughtfulness for staff. I think it is easier if we keep our schedule, to be honest. Changing the dates starts making us have to change a whole lot of other things that all fall into line in the dominoes. But I do very much appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Chan?
I just want to say your nail polish looks fabulous.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's
Thank
so
you.
nice.
I made sure to do it.
There we go.
Fixed the
It
nail.
matches some of your colors on the paper. Like, it's very nice.
This is a very
Appreciate
stylish planning staff tonight. Let me tell you, between Ari's jacket and your nails, this is fantastic. You guys, great work.
So, so if there's any other questions, I did want to say that the presentation and Q&A feedback session for the ACLC was last night. Nathan was there, Nate was there, Allison was there, Forrest was there, and all three of them just did spectacularly. It went a little long because we had a very active audience, and they had to stay there pretty late. So I just want to thank the three of you. You guys really did great. It was the first meeting in a long time where members or attendees there like emailed me today saying how great it was. So it also made me look good. So you guys really did great. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing all your work that you do in March when this comes back to us in April. So.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any member comments?
I have one question for staff. Is anything happen with the violations at the University of Florida surface parking lot and abandoned dump on the corner?
I think we do have some updates, and maybe Sean can help us out with some of those updates.
So the UF attorneys are appealing that decision. So our office will go into, lead the defense of that appeal. The process is laid out in the Land Development Code for, an administrative remedy that involves like a hearing officer that's contracted through the state. So it would just work its way through that until there's a resolution one way or the other. The use continues, until the order from the plan board is upheld. So that's it. We've been in contact with UF attorneys and also looking at, like we do with any litigation, potential settlement discussions to try to figure out a way to settle the matter. So we're just kind of in that phase right now.
It appears you guys have got a slam dunk. You've got an ordinance and a violation that's 3 years out of date.
Right. If I thought there was something legally at issue with it, I would have advised the board that night. And so, yeah, it's just, just going through the motions now. Yeah.
Great. Good to get an update on that. All right. Our next meeting is March 26th, 2026. And with that, this meeting's adjourned.